Late one night, Nora sat in her dimly lit apartment, curled up in an old worn armchair with her book. Outside, the wind howled through the narrow alleyways, rattling the windows of the old building. She had always enjoyed nights like this, quiet and peaceful, with nothing but the wind to accompany her. But tonight felt different. The usual comfort of solitude felt suffocating, as if the shadows around her were pressing in. Her eyes flickered to the window across the room. The curtains swayed gently, though there was no draft in the room. She tried to return her focus to the book in her lap, but the scratching of the tree branches against the window was growing louder, sharper, almost like nails scraping glass. Suddenly, there was a soft, deliberate knock at the window. 3 distinct taps. Her heart skipped a beat. Nora's apartment was on the 3rd floor. No one could be outside that window. She hesitated, staring at the glass, the room's dim light casting an eerie glow on its surface. Slowly, she stood up, placing the book on the armchair, her hand trembling slightly. She walked towards the window, her breath shallow, and leaned in. There was nothing but darkness outside. The street below was quiet, with only the occasional gust of wind blowing leaves along the pavement. The tapping, however, continued. Nora's hand hovered over the curtain. Should she open it? As her fingers touched the fabric, a cold chill ran down her spine. Her instincts screamed at her to stop, but curiosity took over. She tugged the curtain aside, revealing only the inky blackness of the night. A fog had started to roll in, covering the ground and slowly rising. But still, no sign of anyone or anything. Just as she was about to turn away, the whisper came, a faint, eerie sound, barely audible, but unmistakable. "Let me in." Nora stumbled back, her heart racing. She looked around the room, but it was empty. The whisper seemed to come from everywhere, echoing off the walls, as if the room itself had spoken. She bolted to the door, locking it behind her as she rushed into the hallway. Her footsteps echoed in the silence as she hurried to her bedroom, slamming the door shut. She leaned against the door, breathing heavily, her eyes darting around the room. The whispers grew louder, circling her, filling the room with the soft chant, "Let me in, let me in." Panicking, Nora grabbed her phone, trying to call for help, but the screen flickered and then went black. The power in the apartment cut out, plunging her into total darkness. The only sound now was her own ragged breathing and the relentless whispers. Suddenly, she felt it. A cold breeze, but all the windows were shut tight. The air turned icy, and shadows began to move along the walls, swirling and shifting like smoke, forming shapes that were just out of focus. The whispers grew louder, more urgent, now coming from inside the very walls of the room. With trembling hands, Nora fumbled for the bedside lamp, but when she flicked it on, the bulb burst, shattering glass across the floor. In the sudden silence that followed, she could hear her own heart pounding in her chest. She felt a presence behind her. Turning slowly, she saw a figure, vague, shadowy, standing in the corner of the room. It didn't move, but its form seemed to pulse with the shadows, as if it was part of the darkness itself. The whispers now seemed to come from the figure, growing louder and more insistent. Nora backed up until her legs hit the bed, but she couldn't tear her eyes away from the figure. It seemed to be watching her, though its face was obscured, hidden in the shadows. Her breath caught in her throat as the figure took a step forward, its outline becoming clearer. And then, just as she was about to scream, the whisper came again, loud and clear. "I'm already in." The shadows enveloped her, and the room fell silent once more.